and welcome to this recording in the series that I'm doing on Windows 10 in the Enterprise. So in the very last demonstration, I showed how to link a Microsoft account to your domain device or your domain joins device, and then we proceeded to show how to add your Microsoft account basically as a local user or as a cloud user on your domain joined account, and so that you can actually log in with your Microsoft account into your device. So that's basically where we're at now, um, which brought me to this screen where I can set up a PIN. And so basically, this like kind of like a new authentication method where you don't have to use passwords, but rather use PIN. And there's a lot of security around this, which we won't be discussing now, but will be at some point in one of our hangouts. So I enter a PIN, then I can log in using that PIN. Um, so if you're an admin and you're basically thinking, okay, I don't like what I'm seeing. This is not something I want people or users to be able to do in my enterprise. So this is something that's enabled by default. Just be aware of that. So it's something that the default settings is and it's enabled. The users can link their Microsoft accounts to the device, sync their settings across. Again, not files, settings. So things like Teams, passwords, web settings, different kinds of settings. They can access their applications that they've purchased in the Windows App Store on their devices, so all that. So now, if you look at this, it's basically showing as a local account. I'm logged in as a user, learn client one, my username, but I'm actually logged in with my Microsoft Outlook account. So that's how that works. So if you're an admin, you're thinking, I don't want this in my enterprise. I want to stop this behavior. Yes, you can. So the old trusted group policy comes to your help in this situation. So if I expand this and just create a new group policy object and just call it a name, link an existing GPO. Oh, sorry, I want to create a new one or link an existing one. I'll call this sync settings. Or actually, I'll just call this enterprise sync settings. Excuse me. Okay, and I'm going to edit this group policy object. So interestingly enough, somebody might say, interestingly enough, this setting or one of the settings to disable this, this will be interesting to you where Microsoft has put this. So I expand policies, expand Windows settings, and look at where Microsoft has put this setting. This is kind of like interesting to me when I saw this. So that will expand. And if I go under security settings, yeah, so that's interesting. That's on the security settings is where you find this, right? I think that to me, that's interesting. That Microsoft is saying one of the security settings that you can configure in your enterprise is to disable the use of this Microsoft account in your domain. I find that really interesting. So there's some security risk. So there are some benefits that we've already mentioned. I think I've probably mentioned them too much at this point for using that. But then some people might consider that a risk. I don't want my user, they're using whatever machine that they're using at home. Who knows whatever settings that they've configured? Who knows whatever browsing histories and favorites that they've configured on that? Who knows whatever password that they've configured on that or any domain passwords that they're using on their domain device, that now they're allowing that to be synced across to any device that they own that's linked to their Microsoft account. Somebody might consider that obviously a security risk. So the settings that Microsoft has provided to manage this, it's not like a one or it's not like an all-out settings. It's not as if enable it or disable it. You can cherry pick and pick, oh, I want users to be able to sync their web history and favorites, but I don't want them to be able to sync passwords. So if that's what you want to do, you can do that. So very first thing I would do is here where it says accounts, block Microsoft accounts. That's the setting that we will be configuring. So there's the group policy object, it's group policy settings. I'm going to define this policy. So again, by default, it's not this disabled. You're not blocking Microsoft accounts. So now I can select what I want. Users can't add Microsoft accounts. Users can't add or log in with Microsoft account. So again, remember the two things that we mentioned. Number one is adding Microsoft accounts to be able to use your store apps, to be able to sync the settings. Number two is adding a Microsoft account to be able to use it to log into the device. So you can stop it, you can stop just the very first stage, or you can block both stages where they can't add their Microsoft account. Maybe, but here it's saying, hey, you can't have your Microsoft account and you cannot log in with your Microsoft account. So that's what we'll be setting. We say we don't want users to be able to log in because it's a corporate device. We don't want them to be logging in and that. Again, if you're using some kind of BYOD policy in your enterprise, we want to be careful because the device technically belongs to the user, right? Because it's your own device. Okay, so configuring, or we've configured the setting. So the very next setting is on the admin templates, on the Windows component. And if we keep scrolling down, you find this folder here called Sync Your Settings. And this is where we configure what we don't want to allow or want to allow. So going back to the device again, if I click the Start button, I'm still logged in with the Microsoft account now. And if I go on the settings, when this comes up, you'll see what I'm referring to. So on the account and on the sync your settings, you see exactly what that's referring to. So for example, okay, you have individual sync settings, you have the theme, the web browser settings, the password, language preferences, ease of access, other Windows settings. And then going back to the group policy objects, that's what this one is talking about. So do not sync apps, prevents the app sync from syncing to and from this PC. This one is basically do not sync anything. Do not sync start settings. So what we just want to do for testing is, let's say, do not sync browser settings. So I'll just double click on that and enable this policy to say don't sync browser settings enabled. So what we've configured with this policy is we've said we're disabling adding a Microsoft account and also logging in with a Microsoft account. At the same time, we're disabling syncing browser settings. So I've configured this group policy settings. Now let me go back to Learn Client 1 at this point. And what I'll do is I'll sign out of this account. Sign in with the normal account that I was signed in with. It's called local admin rights anyway. So if it's going to be taking a while to respond, I may pause the recording and then come back. So let's log in with the domain credentials. Okay, so let's right click here. So I just want to force a group policy update. Yeah, computer policy completed successfully. So while it's doing that, I'll just click the start button again. Just pardon the response. So the machine is really slow today. Guess it's struggling with resources. So I click on it and I have to wait for a few seconds to get a response. So that's one. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So before I had the option to sign in with the Microsoft account, now I don't have the option anymore. So what I actually do is I'll go, okay, switch account, and I'll go, oh, the user. Ah, okay, what about Microsoft account? How come I can't see it anymore? Okay, it doesn't matter. I'll still try to log in with my Microsoft account and let me see. So remember, I just logged into my with Microsoft account and logged out just now. But now with the policy that uh, um, took effect a few minutes ago, so go, and that's 23, sorry, 29, 03, 2016 at outlook.com. Now sign in with my password and let's see what I'm gonna get. Look at that. This user can't sign in because this account is currently disabled. So because that policy has already taken effect, I can't sign in with my Microsoft account anymore. Okay, what about the sync settings? Sorry, I need to enter the password correctly. What about the sync settings? What exactly can I sync? So going back to settings, going back to account, we'll get there. And then going back to sync your settings. And let's see, now I can turn this on because I've added the Microsoft account. But let's see, look at that. Web browser settings grayed out. I can't turn, I can switch this on. And that's because in this policy we've said do not sync browser settings is enabled. So that's the way if you're an administrator that wants to control the settings in your enterprise, and that's the way to manage this in the enterprise. So now, next demonstration, things are getting even much more interesting now because very next demonstration, we'll be showing how to join this machine here, which is Learn Client 4, which is the one that I showed in this particular diagram. Learn Client 4 non-domain joined. We'll be showing how setting up an Azure AD account, or an Azure account with Azure AD, and then setting up an Office 365 account, and then we'll be joining this machine, long client 4, to the Microsoft Azure Active Directory, and we'll be seeing that and how that works. So I'm excited about this, and from then on it gets more interesting. We're talking about Intune, we're talking about Azure apps, Azure remote apps, we're talking about integrating Office 365. It's all cloud from now on, and I'm sure you enjoy the rest of the series. So thanks very much for watching this recording, and I'll see you in the very next demonstration. A nice day, evening. Bye.